and this faith journey has produced is peace and joy. And so, God, we enter your gates today with thanksgiving. We are thanking you that we are growing up in faith. We are thanking you that we are becoming and beholding and becoming change for the time we have spent in your presence.
Hello, good afternoon. How are you doing? Okay, I'm done with the sing-song voice. Good afternoon and welcome to today's edition of Midday Manna. I am your host, Lenore Reynolds Jones, and it is such a privilege to be with you today. Today is September 15th. Why is that significant? It's really not. It's just September 15th. But I am just happy to still be in the land of the living and to be with you today. Just a little bit about myself. Why did you click on this channel, or you clicked on it, or you stumbled across, or somebody shared this and you're like, let's take a listen. So who is Lenore Reynolds Jones? I am the founder of a beautiful kingdom enterprise called Legacy Builder. I am a legacy strategist and a marriage mentor. And in this company that we mentioned, Legacy Builders, we believe that it is our duty, our job, our purpose even, to equip individuals and married couples with necessary tools and skills to not only leave a lasting legacy, but have a successful and satisfying relationship. We do this through our programs. We have two beautiful programs, one for individuals, one for married couples, of course. And then we have other services that we offer that we believe just create space for people to, one, learn, to two, build, and to three, grow. And so that is enough about us. So now it's the participatory portion of the program. And by that, I mean, I am inviting you to do something for me. Those things that I want you to do, number one is subscribe. If you are watching on YouTube, or even if you're someplace else, go to YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel. At YouTube, you will have the entire library of pretty much almost every Midday Manna I've ever done. And that's quite a bit. But they're all on YouTube, and even some that you probably may have missed something, or I said something and you want to go back through it, go to YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Next thing I want you to do is like this broadcast. You heard me right. Like it on YouTube, on Facebook. Number 3, we want you to share, right? Yes, and I did that intentionally. But share. We would love for you to share this broadcast with someone who you think will be blessed by it, someone who you think will benefit by something we have said, or someone, just anyone. Just share it on social media, text a message, inbox, messenger, multiple ways, but please share, because, they say sharing is caring. And so care about somebody enough, you share this wonderful information with them. Last but certainly not least, I would love for you to go and join our mailing list. There are 2 ways to do that. Number 1 is to go to the website www.legacybuilders with a Z, as you can see below me right here. Legacy Builders has a Z, and there you can sign up and join the mailing list, and you will take advantage of our free infographic about how to leave a lasting legacy. Or you can go to this website right below, right here, workwithlegacybuilders.com. And there, if you're a married couple, what you get is a complimentary case study that we did about the 3 most important things on how to leave a lasting legacy in marriage, because it is absolutely different to leave a lasting legacy in marriage than it is if you are in a single or not in a committed relationship. So you go there, and here you watch the case study, and then going here also allows you to access our calendar, where you can schedule a complimentary strategy session that we will take a deep dive into those 3 things we talked about, into your actual relationship, and give you some clarity on how to move forward in leaving a lasting legacy. That's all that I have for you. Those are the participatory, yes, participatory portions of the day. And without much further ado, we're going to go ahead and move on to the topic for today. And what a doozy it is. So let's see, where did we leave off? Oh, I have an announcement. Guys, Book 2, Faith in El Shaddai, is available for pre-order. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I wrote book 1, and it's called Knowing God as El Shaddai. And what happens is that God said that was the first one and that there's more, and more included a second book. And I can tell you now there'll be a third one. The El Shaddai series is a trilogy. And so, because there's 3 of them, right? But I'm joking. That's just the way God unfolded it for me. But book number 2, Faith in El Shaddai, is available for pre-order. The book drops on October 26th, but you can get ahead of the game. You can order it and it will ship so that it can be in your hands on October 26th. We will talk more about the book at another date. I just wanted to let you know, if you scroll your keys across the keyboard, you go to Amazon.com. That's where it's available for pre-order. On Amazon.com, you search for Faith in El Shaddai, or you search for my name and you will see both books. All right. So the reason I mentioned the book, though, is that a part of what we're going to talk about today came out at the end of the book. And you're like, girl, what? And I'm like, yes. So without giving away the end, one of the things I learned on this journey is the importance of confession, the importance of the words that you say. I was in a conversation with some friends and I said this to them in the conversation. And you say something and you're like, dang, I'm not that smart, so that must be Jesus. Or maybe I'm the only one. But definitely I said it and I was like, that had to be Jesus, because your girl, yes, I am smart. Yes, I am intelligent, but not that much. That's definitely a God moment. And so what I told them was that we don't actually have to work harder. We have to speak smarter, because many of us, the problem is not that we don't have faith. The problem is not that we aren't doing the work. The problem is not that we aren't consistent. The problem is that the words we speak, the words which have life and death, the words that have power in this mouth, those same words are the ones that we use, and we don't use them to build the future that we want to see. Instead, we build the reality that we are currently stuck in. So we're speaking to our present reality and not our future goals. And if you continue to speak to your present reality, you will stay in the present. And so as I was having this conversation with those friends, my husband was there. And so we started talking about this idea that there is a difference between an affirmation and a confession. And you guys know that, I am a detailed individual. And if you follow me, you know that I spend some time really just like, I'm simple. Like, I'll look up the definition of words, and I was like, that's oh, you know what I want to do? I am sorry. But I was like, let's look it up. We can just look up the meaning of these words and see what happens, right? And so we did that, and start here. Oh, this is beautiful. Okay, there, we're ready. And so I was like, well, let's start with just defining the word. So I went to my handy dandy research assistant, right? Everybody knows my research assistant is Google. And so I went to Google and I said, Google, tell me what affirmation is. And it says affirmation is the action or process of affirming something or being affirmed. And the second meaning, it says emotional support or encouragement. And when we think of it, we I think of, in this current focus on what's that? Self-care. That's the word. Self-care, everybody is teaching them their affirmations. I'm gonna say I am smart, I am beautiful, I am called, I am, created in his image, whatever your daily affirmations. I can do hard things, but you are in fact encouraging yourself, that these things are encouraging yourself, dare I say, reminding yourself that these things are true, right? It's more like, they're true, but the continued speaking of them, right? And so I was like, so if that's a affirmation is more about encouragement and reminding yourself, then what is confession? And so Google says that confession is a formal statement, that one is guilty of a crime, right? And so if you did something wrong, and you tell someone, you admit it and you sign it formally, it's your confession. But the other thing, it says it's a statement setting out essential religious doctrine. For example, some of us, we didn't get baptized. We joined the church by what? Confession of faith, right? Or profession of faith, where you pretty much are confessing that these things are true. And so as I was going through that, I was like, so they're both related to the truth, but one does something that the other does not. And I was like, well, let's just take another look. So you guys know what I did. I went to the Bible, and in Romans chapter 10, verse 10, it's the verse that says, if you believe on the Lord and confess with your mouth, then you shall be saved. And so I was like, oh, that's a good verse. So let's see what confession means there. And it says, it's a compound word, and it says to say the same thing as another, to agree. And I was like, oh, now that's different. Because an affirmation is merely an encouragement, a reminder, but a confession is an agreement. So when you confess something, you're telling God that I agree with you that this is true, versus reminding yourself that it is. And you're like, why does that matter? Because, and my husband, and so again, we have these moments where you say something and he is absolutely an amazing man. He is handsome. I think so. He is intelligent. He is a teacher, and he has this really great skill of just being able to break things down in understandable, easily consumable pieces. But one of the things he said, and I told him when he said it, and I continued to remind him that it's probably one of the most profound things I've ever heard him say. And that thing is this. He said that the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of light, the kingdom operates on agreement. Let that sink in. Because think about the number of times in the Bible that things happened in community. It happened in agreement. The Bible even said, can two walk together unless they agree? It says that where two or three are gathered, God will be in the midst. Over and over, the Bible talks about agreement. And so when you are confessing, you are actually exercising the kingdom principle. You are exercising kingdom resources and wielding your faith as a weapon. And you're like, wait, what? That's how I felt too. Because there's a difference between our affirmations. Again, an affirmation is an encouragement. It's a reminder. Okay, this is true. But you can, the truth is, you can affirm things that aren't true. Because you want to encourage the person. You shouldn't, but you can. The same can be said of confession, but will you agree to something that's not true? Will you stand in agreement with it? Because the agreement is a deeper understanding. Are you gonna, because then you can be removed from an affirmation. I can say this and be far removed from it. You can't be far removed from a confession. It's a personal, internal expending. You're putting your own stamp on it. And so that I was like, oh, and so many of us, we spend a lot of time speaking our affirmations, but we have yet to do what? Come into agreement. We have yet to confess with it. And the Bible says, if faith is the key, and I've heard some pastors say this, if faith is the key that unlocks heaven's storehouses, confession is and I've also said that confession is the current, I'm sorry, I said faith is the currency of heaven, because the Bible says without faith, it is impossible to please him. Now, if faith is currency, do you spend money that you think is fake? Let's unpack this, because if confession is agreement, it's coming into agreement. It's saying the same thing. It's believing the same thing as God believed. So God says, I'll stay with, I'll use my own self as an example. Something God has said to me is that I have everything I need to be successful. Okay, that is what God has told me. It doesn't matter what I say, what I see. God has told me that you already, presently today, the vision of success that you have in your head, you already have everything you need for that to happen. Now, if faith is the currency that I need to get there, if I don't agree with this, will I spend it? The answer is no. And so many of us, let's take it now from me and generalize it. How many things has God said about you, but you refuse to agree? You refuse to spend it because you think it's a fake. You think it's a counterfeit. You think it's a knockoff. You think that the enemy did it, or the enemy can stop it from happening. Or you're looking at the circumstance. You're looking at the this. You're looking at the that. You are literally holding the key to the door that you want, but unwilling to turn it. You are standing at the door with your key in your hand, but you won't put it in and turn the lock because you don't think it's the right key. Every time you affirm, you just stand there with the key in your hand, saying, I think this could be the key. Confession is actually the action of putting the key in the lock and turning it and then opening the door. And so that for me was groundbreaking, because as I think about it, I think about the amount of times that I've spent affirming things and not confessing them. Again, confirming is encouragement. It's a reminder. Confession is repeat. And then with affirmations, you don't necessarily have to say it the same way. There was something beautiful about this definition where it says to say the same thing as another. With affirmations, you can change it. Think about if you are affirming that someone else is intelligent, right? So you're affirming they're intelligent, and you use a lot of different words. So you tell them that they're wise beyond their years. You tell them that they have a high, aptitude. We can use lots of different words, and we can say lots of things, and all of them will be affirming, because the end result is this encouragement. That's not what it says here. It says confession is to say the same thing, to stand in agreement with that thing. So to say exactly what God said. God said that you have everything you need to be successful. And so affirmation looks like, I'm going to encourage myself to keep going because, I believe, and encourage this, and, and I'm going to, but confession is to internalize it, to take it as a reality, to take it as a truth, to take the key of your faith, put it in the door and turn it, and then act on it, because I am now agreeing that whether or not I see the resources, whether or not I see the outcome, whether or not I understand how this works, my confession is the same as what God said. God said, I have in the present, in the current, not you will have, because affirmations can change tenses and all of this stuff. The confession is to say the same thing right now, today. I have everything I need to be successful. I have faith in that. I believe that. I have confidence in that. I am repeating what God said. I am agreeing with it. Right at that moment, I have taken my faith and I have used it to unlock whatever it is, the future. Oh, yes, you don't need to see to know. That moment, I have taken my faith as my currency. I have taken my faith as my key, because keys represent access. I have used my confession and I have now accessed what was beyond this point. Many of you are stuck on the other side of the door because you have yet to confess what God has told you is true about yourself, about your situation. You have yet to stand in agreement. You have yet to say it the same way God said it. The next definition for confess is to concede. To concede is to give in. I'm going to do it God's way. So I'm going to write this book and I'm going to do it and I'm going to put it out there without all the trappings. I don't have a national what's that? A big box publishing thing. But God said I'm going to be successful. So I'm going to concede. I'm going to give in that God is right, and I am going to exercise all that He has said based on what? My agreement, based on my confession, based on my belief, based on my faith, based on my confidence that this thing is true. And then next, it says to promise. So your confession is a promise. And I think about that. It's a promise to yourself and a promise to God that I trust you. Your confession is a promise to yourself and a promise to God that you trust Him. And so I think that, today is going to be one of the shorter ones because I don't want to belabor the point. I think it has been clearly made. I think it's time for you to stop affirming and time to stop confessing. It's time for you to stop affirming and time for you to start confessing. What are you confessing? You're confessing what God said about you. You're confessing what God has told you about your situation. You are confessing the same thing that God has laid on your heart. You know, that thing you don't want to say, like, you know, and so I'm going to end here. One of the reasons why it's so hard to confess certain things is that the things that God tells us is often not the thing we want to do. I had another conversation over the weekend, and I was talking with someone, and we both confessed that one of our measuring tapes or one of our indicators as to whether or not that something is from God is whether or not we want to do it. Because quite frequently, the vision God has put before you is bigger than you can accomplish by yourself. The vision God has put before you requires Him. And so to confess that, to say the same thing as He does, to agree with it, it often comes with intimidation. It often comes with fear. And so rather than confessing that thing, you know, we do this work of affirming our own abilities, then confessing the truth of who God says and what we can do with Him. So I will close here. Affirmation focuses on your own effort. Confession focuses on God's. And so I just want to encourage you today to look at your life. Look at the words you're speaking. I'm not against affirmations. Don't go tell nobody I watched this thing and this girl said, nope, I am not against affirmations. I believe that they have their space and their place. But what I am telling you is that know the difference between an affirmation and a confession and know when to use which. Because one, when partnered with faith, will give you access to spaces and places that only God can do, and the other will keep you exactly where you are. So that is all I came to say today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. As I often tell you, I pray that your latter, as in the latter half of your day, is greater than your beginning. Look out for that book. Again, you can go to Amazon.com, search for Faith in El Shaddai, and El Shaddai is 2 words. It's ELSHADDAI. Faith in El Shaddai. That book is available for pre-order now. If you never got the first book, Knowing God is El Shaddai, go ahead and get that one too. Start that one now, because if you start it now, by the time the other one comes out, you'll be ready. If you read the other one, I would say reread it again so that you can pick up this one and jump right in. Remind yourself of where you are with God, because it does kind of pick up where the other one left off. But have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you on Friday for prayer. So have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for joining me for today's edition of Midday Manna. Bye-bye.
What our trust and this faith journey has produced is peace and joy. And so, God, we enter your gates today with thanksgiving. We are thanking you that we are growing up in faith. We are thanking you that we are becoming and beholding and becoming change for the time we have spent in your presence.